Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a fantastic day. As always, leaving a like or leaving a comment helps out the channel immensely, and very big thank you to everyone who leaves a comment and leaves a like every single day. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Oh, little side note, you may have noticed the videos are once again a little bit different. I mentioned to someone else on Twitter, I have moved recently. I don't know if I've mentioned that here. So I'm unpacking, I'm getting stuff ready, I'm buying stuff for the bathroom, like I'm doing everything. Like we literally don't even have a kitchen at this point. Not that you needed to know that, but just more of an explanation as to why the normal video stream hasn't been working out. And I know. I also have to live stream again. I haven't forgotten. Don't worry. There's just way too much going on with everything. So anyway, without actual further ado, let's jump right into it. Bitcoin Core, that is to say Bitcoin, has now rolled out version 25. We never normally ever hear about Bitcoin actually getting an upgrade or updating in any sort of way. Bitcoin, the #1 coin, is historically popular for having very small tweaks, little tiny upgrades to its system. But you will never normally hear that there is a massive upgrade or some big change actually happening to the network. The most recent update includes numerous new features, bug fixes, performance enhancements, and translation updates. Bitcoin Core, the reference implementation of the Bitcoin BTC protocol, is indispensable to the operation and security of the Bitcoin network. The upgrade introduces significant enhancements to transaction policies and expands the use case for transactions with reduced sizes. The most recent version of the full node client enables users to verify transactions, store a copy of the blockchain, and partake in the consensus procedure, which is how you get further decentralization. When you have actual, and I dare say normal people, everyday people who can actually take part in consensus or figure out how to actually verify transactions on the network, it's a lot better than having 30 rich people around the world who are able to do it, when you can have essentially 100 million people who can also join into this as well. Peer-to-peer and network modifications, new remote procedure calls, RPCs, that will ensure quick wallet rescans, and updated RPCs are notable modifications. Mempool and relay policies now enable transactions with non-witness sizes of 65 bytes or more. Here's a tweet for it right here. Once again, it's one of those news stories where I know not a lot of people are going to be like, "Oh, wow, that's absolutely amazing." But when was the last time you heard Bitcoin update news? Or you heard that Bitcoin had updated or upgraded? I want to say 1992, because we never actually get that news, especially not anymore. This was more of a thing in the long ago, where this was kind of commonplace. But when you have just actual slight changes to a protocol to make things a little bit easier and or slightly larger and or aid in the mempool, is not the same as all the other projects who say, like, we just partnered with 95 companies. Look at the things we just bought. We're putting down $7 billion to buy a hotel, whatever other cryptocurrency companies do. Anyway, that's Bitcoin Core has updated. It's now version 25, which is insane because, you know, I feel like we missed a couple of numbers along the way, but I guess they were doing other stuff as the years were rolling by. Yeah, that's the Bitcoin upgrade news. Let's move on. In one of those, you know how like really weird news ends up always becoming the most popular news? This is one of them. Binance, the world's largest crypto exchange, has appointed Richard Teng, that is T-E-N-G, as the head of regional markets outside of the United States. The strategic move came as Binance faces increased regulatory scrutiny from various countries, including the United States. I think at this point, it's not even a game of cat and mouse. I think people are actively just trying to be anti-crypto friendly in some sort of way, because If every other country has figured it out, and you have the a good 4 or 5 countries on the planet who still have not gotten it together, it seems to be completely intentional at this point. With a background in finance and extensive experience within the industry, Tang's appointment signifies the exchange's commitment to strengthening compliance efforts and navigating the complex regulatory landscape. In response to mounting regulatory challenges, the renowned exchange company has tapped Richard Tang to oversee the regional markets outside of the United States. Tang, who joined Binance as CEO of Singapore in August of 2021, brings a wealth of experience from his tenure at prominent financial institutions such as the Monetary Authority of Singapore, Singapore Exchange Limited, and Abu Dhabi's global market. With his deep understanding of regulatory frameworks and industry dynamics, Tang is poised to lead the exchange's efforts in ensuring compliance across various jurisdictions. When I tell you this was incredibly popular, I sat there like, I understand the significance of it. Believe me, especially as someone who's been in the market for this long. But when you get you'll see the other news that we actually have. You kind of expect that to be more popular, and then you hear that Binance has hired someone, and everyone's like, whoa, that's the most popular thing. It's like a couple of years ago, Ripple was hiring people, I think, from Google, and they were also hiring people who used to be the heads of commodities futures trading commissions and securities and exchange commissions from around the world to be more regulatorily compliant as they're trying to expand around the world. And that is like, I get the hiring news, but I don't understand the fascination that the cryptocurrency community has with look who got hired and look how many people got fired news. It's all very, very weird to me. There was news, and I don't think I have it in this video, of some cryptocurrency company who may be on the cusp of firing 10 to 15% of their employees. And that also made extremely popular. Like, I mean, more popular than the other stuff that we're going to be going over. So I, for one, just don't understand the excitement in hearing that a person who knows about regulations got hired. It's Binance. Like, Binance will continue to be big regardless if they hire this man or not. Or also like, oh, snaps, they're firing 10% of their workforce. Like, why that also gets people excited. Like, the word's not even riled up. It's more of a people just like oddly positive and oddly negative news. That's the Binance hired someone news. Yeah, incredibly popular. Binance appoints former MAS executive as head of regional markets outside of US. Whoa, that's fantastic. It almost makes me want to use Binance because now they have a new employee. So that's how money works, right? Okay, let's move on. Also, in what is beginning to become like a never-ending story kind of news thing, XRP, the 6th largest cryptocurrency, has caught the attention of Santiment, an on-chain analytics firm, due to its remarkable surge in social dominance and a notable pump in address activity. You've seen it if you've been here for the last 2 weeks. The amount of XRP news is egregiously huge once again, similar to 2017, 2018. It has captured the imaginations of everyone as we have been getting indications that the, what do you call it? The lawsuit might be over. Ripple's going public. They're buying up tons of companies. I can see the activity from what you would call the XRP community beginning to spike again on Twitter. They're all over the place. They are quite vocal. They were quite lull and or quiet for a while. But on the backs of, I don't have any in this video, of the constant price predictions for XRP. People think that by the end of June, we are going to hit $1 because it recently passed by like 55, 56 cents or something like that. And therefore, it broke a number of resistance levels. People are like, if we can get past $1 by the end of June, when the lawsuit is over, we're looking at the other guy was like, we're looking at a $3.98 XRP by the end of December. And that gets people talking to by the time we get to 2024 and 2025 and the mega bull run is happening. Will we see a $15, $20, $30 XRP? It's all over the place. Everyone keeps talking about it. They now have NFTs. I think someone's building a metaverse on top of it. They're doing, you name it. Ripple and XRP are omnipresent once again within the cryptocurrency space and also within the news. And there's a little chart right there from Santiment. In the past 2 days, XRP has experienced its second and third largest spikes in address activity ever recorded. These notable surges coincide with XRP's decoupling from the rest of the altcoin market. You can slow it down there. XRP has, over the last week or two, coinciding with all the news once again, seen moments where if Bitcoin and Ethereum have been going down 2, 3, 4%, XRP is actually up by 5, 6, or 7%. I think the barrier was, 47, 48 cents from what I've been able to see online and what people were talking about, and therefore it passing by 50 cents and going a little bit higher. This is now the moment where all the other analysts on Twitter have been talking for the last year, saying that we needed to pass by that number. And therefore, when XRP does, it's kind of sky's the limit. I've seen, if you're on crypto Twitter, you've seen it. You must have. If you've been able to avoid it in some sort of way, I have no idea how you did it. Everyone is talking about XRP's price. Everyone's talking about the lawsuit ending, and everyone's talking about where this coin's price is going to be after the lawsuit has actually concluded. Apparently, there were 7,058 addresses that were active at the end of May. That apparently is significant because there were 490,000 addresses that were also engaging with the network around the same exact time, indicating the second largest spike on record. Additionally, the chart highlights another surge on the 29th of May, where there were 281,000 active daily addresses, marking the third largest surge in XRP's history. Every day, it's all over the place. I want the lawsuit to end. I know I'm not the only one. I would love for it to be completely over with so we can stop. Not that we can stop talking about it, but it is a gigantic cloud over our industry and market right now. People do think that they think that the judge has already written her final, not statement, her judgment or whatever, but it simply has not been released. And of course, we will all be identified to it. If they win this lawsuit, or if the judge does not agree with the SEC, or if Ripple ends up winning the majority of the cases and stuff against them, get ready, because it's going to be absolutely ridiculous. Not only for the entire market, but XRP is going to surge. You have no idea how much people love this coin. I think a lot of people got into the market after the lawsuit began. XRP's price was already down, and they only know a world where the XRP community has been quiet. You don't get it. And I know someone just rolled their eyes. Put your eyes back, because you think the Cardano community can be loving and intense. You have no. This coin is going to skyrocket if they win this this lawsuit. So that's the XRP activity has increased, the second and third biggest times ever. Heaven help us when this coin gets relisted on Coinbase. Heaven help all of us, because we are going to. This is going to probably become the #2 coin again, and people are going to absolutely lose it. That's the XRP news. And yeah, let's move on. Also in incredibly popular news, but for not the reason you would actually think, Tether, the company behind Tether, has announced its foray into energy production and sustainable Bitcoin mining operations in Uruguay. According to the announcement, Tether's collaboration with a local licensed company marks the company's expansion into the energy sector as part of its goal to become a global tech leader. They're already there, and they're going to only become larger. So this news made headlines, and I had initially assumed it was because the news was the largest stablecoin issuer, one of the largest companies within the cryptocurrency space, had decided to begin to mine Bitcoin. I assumed I guess, stupidly, that people would have been like, oh, this is cool. Not only will the network be more decentralized, as we now have another big player who's going to be mining Bitcoin, but also, you know, Tether's probably not going to sell off their Bitcoin. Tether recently announced 2 weeks ago that they are actually going to be buying Bitcoin and have been buying Bitcoin. For those of you who missed that news, Tether showed once again an audit of how much money they have and how much is backing their Tether. And apparently they have, I think several $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. They then announced that at the end of every quarter, the extra money that they've made from, any profits that they've made, 15% of the profits would be then shifted directly into them buying Bitcoin. You know, it's amazing news. More Bitcoin essentially leaves the market. Bitcoin becomes scarcer. There's no indications that Tether is going to be selling any of their Bitcoin because they understand the long game, the longevity of the market, and that Bitcoin is probably going to hit $1 million at some point. People had a problem with Tether buying up the Bitcoin. I think it's mainly people. I'll say this in a very nice way. I think people are very easily convinced of things within the crypto, also just life in general. I think people hear news and they understand it as it's in their language, but when something negative pops up, they tend to want to grasp onto that more. Like the news that since 2018, Tether's fake, Tether's a farce, Tether's not real. And I was like, no, if Tether was fake, we would have heard some company figure it out and they would not be on every cryptocurrency exchange. But whenever, is it the Wall Street Journal? I don't know. There's one of these publications who continues writing negative things about Tether. And I think people want to believe it because I think people like the drama within the market. This is why I think FTX took off the way that it did. It's because everybody wanted to believe that there was a bad seed in the market or in the crypto space, and therefore that's the one who you can kind of point the finger at. So people were saying that Tether was greedy, they shouldn't be doing this, they should allow more, not normal people to be able to mine, you name it. I've seen everyone talking about this in some sort of way. To me, this is significant because it just shows like the extra added support now for Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency market and making the network stronger. You know, they have the money, so they're going to spend it. And also, they're even trying to do it in a renewable way. This should have made actual news in that. Not only are they going to be mining Bitcoin, but Bitcoin mining tends to have a very bad rep because of the way that it has been used, as far as like the majority or a large portion of it, tends to not be coming from renewable sources. So when you announce that, the coin that all the mainstream people don't like because of the way that it is mined and created, is being created just simply through renewable sources, that should be like, well, look at that. Remember the news half a year ago that Elon Musk was no longer accepting Bitcoin for things at Tesla or SpaceX because he wanted more than 50% of the mining of Bitcoin to come from renewable sources. And then you hear that Tether is going to be aiding in that to make Bitcoin even more renewable sources. And people have a problem with it. So I think people want negativity. It's just something I personally feel, having been in this market or even just in any market for a long time. People are always looking for like the dramatic thing that they can share, that they can send to their friends. The thing that'll get everyone riled up tends to always sell a lot more. By investing in renewable energy sources, Tether said it aims to support and promote sustainable Bitcoin mining, ensuring a mineable ecological footprint while upholding the security and integrity of the Bitcoin network. See, that's what I was thinking because I was like, oh, that makes so much more sense. But no, people have a problem with everything. Paolo Ardoino, CTO of Tether, emphasized the company's commitment to renewable energy, stating Tether is proud to spearhead a movement that combines cutting-edge technology, sustainable practices and financial innovation. Uruguay has gained recognition as a leader in renewable energy. Whoa! With an impressive 94% of their electricity generated. 94% coming from wind and solar. That is quite impressive. So yeah, very popular news as well, but popular or unpopular for completely different reasons. I still think the news is absolutely spectacular. The only way to mine Bitcoin is by having tons of money. So why not have a company that's already within the space buying up Bitcoin and also mining it? So, you know, there will be essentially less Bitcoin on the market. So if you are holding Bitcoin, therefore there will be less going around, and the price of your Bitcoin would logically, based off of supply and demand, also be increasing in price. See, not a negative thing at all. It's actually pretty good news. That's the Tether is mining Bitcoin in Uruguay news. And yeah, let's move on. So this is a news story that I thought people would have reacted to differently, and they did not. Dr. Saifedean Amos, okay, it is S-A-I-F-E-Dean, Saifedean. His last name is A-M-M-O-U-S, Amos. Dr. Saifedean Amos, the author of the book known as the Bitcoin Standard, has been appointed as the economic advisor of the National Bitcoin Office of El Salvador. On the 30th of May, the office announced that the Austrian economist had joined the team as its advisor for matters related to various economic policies. Dr. Amos's now famous book was first published in April of 2018. It analyzes the transition between solid stores of value to inflated assets and fiat currencies, traces the history of money, and aims to show how civilizations have changed with their monetary systems. So when I saw this, it's not that I thought it was a joke. It was more of I assumed that news that the writer of a book becoming one of the heads of economic policies within El Salvador sounded fake. I do not know the extent of this person's economic background, what schools they went to, but I feel like I honestly don't know what I'm even feeling. El Salvador has kind of doubled and tripled down on their idea that they're now using Bitcoin as a form of legal tender. A lot of people have said that this is foolish in them doing so, but I think it's more of it's a gigantic experiment that if it doesn't work out, they will look a little ridiculous simply because we don't know the actual implications of what it means to have a currency that has a hyper fluctuating value as an actual base currency that can be used as tender within a country. In 15, 20 years, they may be looked back upon as genies, and or the idea that Bitcoin is then completely stable in value, or, not doing these massive movements per day may then make a lot of sense. But it's almost like, imagine the US taking the guy who wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and he becomes like one of their head economic advisors. It's like, oh, that's okay. I mean, I get it. I understand why you would have this guy from the Bitcoin Standard, and I assume there was some sort of vetting process where he was interviewed. But regarding his new position, he tweeted that he was excited to work in the office in the first country to adopt a Bitcoin standard, ! The tweet says, when the author of the Bitcoin Standard met the leader of Bitcoin country, great things were bound to happen. We are excited to announce that Saifedean is joining us as the economic advisor to the National Bitcoin Office in El Salvador. And then there's a photo of them shaking hands. So, I would assume that many people disagree with me. I just heard someone say yup, and I would love to know why you disagree with me, because it's feeling like a little like red flaggy, like a lot of the stuff that keeps happening with crypto around the world, or I don't know, maybe if I look into what this guy has done economically, what titles and degrees he holds, and because from what I understand, it's simply that he doesn't agree at all with the old system and simply believes that a move to harder assets, that it would be the gold and or the futuristic gold, which is Bitcoin, kind of are the ways of the future, but we'll see. Yeah, this entire thing has been quite interesting to be a part of. After all these years, seeing the price of these assets go up and down, back and forth, countries slowly adopting them, and just kind of, you know, where this will all lead to as we get further on into the future. Because I already believed that economically the world was a little in trouble. I've mentioned that before, and okay, answer me this. Am I the only one right now currently having discussions with people about like economic policies and how bad things are, and about like buying more assets? That's a completely real question. I've noticed that whenever I meet up with my friends, it's two main friends. Hello, friends. I doubt that. I'm sure they're doing something else, but hello. We tend to go on walks together. You know, we like walking a lot. And at some point, we'll find a cafe because I like having cake and tea. It's just the kind of person I am. But every time we sit down, it goes from like, oh, yeah, did you see this thing in the news? Did you see that in the news? And we go, I feel like things are really bad economically. And then we start talking about like needing to buy more property and buying more crypto and buying other assets that we think will like sustain for a long time. I keep seeing documentaries about people who don't have money after they've retired. Their pensions like $400 a month. Other young people who don't care about saving or investing, like even now, and like I try not to be the annoying one whenever I meet up with people, but it's really where I actually am the annoying one. I know it. I had dinner with people. This was about 4 or 5, no, maybe like 2 or 3 months ago. I don't know. Anyway, it was much colder outside, and we were all sitting there. It was me and it was like 4 or 5 other people. And they were talking about money. They were talking about going on vacation. They were talking about like buying stuff. It was all these. It was very like a. You would have assumed that they were all making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month. And I brought up the question. I was like, "Oh, that's cool. That sounds really fun." I was like, "What are you guys investing into for your retirement?" Everyone at the table was 35 to around 45 years old. And they looked at me as if I was like, hey, anybody want to go do some handstands on the roof while like balancing an apple? They just, you know, and they told me they don't invest. They don't put money to the side. Whatever money they make by the end of the month, they kind of spend it all, so they don't have to really think about it again. There was no plan for retirement. And it was just this really weird, like, so basically anyone who I know who isn't into crypto, isn't saving, there seems to be a complete disconnect when it comes to like putting aside money, having an emergency fund, saving for the future. It's just not there in their head. So this is why I was asking, like, when you're with your friends, if you have friends into crypto or into money in any way, are you also talking about like how bad you assume things are going to be in the next 15 to 20 years? Because I am certain if things are bad now and we're expecting inflation to continue rising, especially as they turn back on the money tap, no one's saving any money. Everyone I know right now, last thought, everyone I know right now who's not and I can tell, who's not putting away money, who's not saving, in like the year 2035, 2040, I give it a good 2040, these are going to be the most angry people like at the system because they think that they should have received more money from the state or from the government. Like, why didn't you help me? Why wasn't I told about this? As opposed to kind of turning the mirror back on themselves and being like, oh, I should have saved. I probably shouldn't have had 19 vacations per year. You know, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I'm so obsessed with being like economically sound and stable. Like it takes over a huge portion of my life. And I just assumed that everyone had this same exact mindset because we are all getting older. There's no point in my life, no point, where I want to be like 95 years old and working at a Walmart. It just sounds absolutely terrible. Anyway, we got off a track a little bit, but yeah, that's the stuff that flies through my head because I'm always wondering, like, is anyone else paying attention? Is it just people within finance and within crypto? I don't know. All right, well, that was the TMI rant, and also the author of a book is now the economic advisor in El Salvador. I don't know. All right, let's move on. As always, a very big thank you to my Patreon supporters: Jim, Jimmy Jim, American Crypto Academy, Martin Stoyer, Bodie McBoatface, Sam Ratter, Dotha Diddy, Manny Cryptos, Crypto Gambino, Auspicious Agile and Blockchain, Jamie Saad, and let's move on: Empire Queen, Roman Geba, Bitcoin Ben Arachno, Dave the Dealer's Den, Captain Summing in the Z-Way, Lay, Mobarazi, VB Nerd 21, Lauren DeSilva, Quoted Biddy, Troy Allgood, Space Case, Need a Miracle, Paternoster, Navarro Williams, Utopia 569, Moonman High, XRP, Nostromo, John Sarsing, The Animal Reader, A Bibliophobia, Adam, Graysick, Wise Night Owl, 242 to the World, Bankroll Network, Crypto Artist, Cole D3D, Setsuna, Paxis, Jim Garner, Jeremy Fox, Minting Coins, Yes to Crypto, Anytime Fitness, Monks Corner Staff, Bake Me a Cake, Tigara, Macho Nisa, and on cryptocurrencies with Lionel. Thank you all very, very much for your support. Thank you to everyone who has left a like, who has left a comment, or who has subscribed. I do hope you have all enjoyed. I do hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever the heck you might be. I do hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and or supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.